Hey, Boaz here with Next Pittsburgh. We're here at the Miniature Railroad and Village at the Carnegie Science Center. This is honestly like one of my favorite places probably in all of Pittsburgh. We're standing in front of miniature falling water over here, and these models are crazy, and they have little recreations of all sorts of places around western Pennsylvania, and we're going to find out how they make these models, how they keep them up. It's been here, or this model has existed in some form for like 100 years. So to tell us a little more about it, we've got Nikki Wilhelm here. You're the manager of the Miniature Railroad and Village. Does that make you like the mayor?
Sure, if you want to put it that way.
And so where are we right now, I guess, in the context of the village?
So this section is our little city section. That's what we call it. It's not based on any one part of Pittsburgh, so we have models from all over southwestern Pennsylvania kind of mixed in together.
Yeah, and I see Annie is pretty close to one of your newest models over there, and this was just put in like less than a year ago.
Yeah, that was put in, debuted in November of last year, and that's Gus and Yiayia's ice ball cart from over here on the north side. It's been around since 1934.
And so what's the scale here? Like how much smaller is that ice ball than a real ice ball?
So the scale is O gauge, which is a 1/4 inch to a foot. So I don't know how, maybe 6 inches is the size of a real ice ball, so it would be like 1/8 of an inch. It's very teeny tiny.
Yeah, that's wild. And you are constantly updating stuff every year. There's new editions.
Yes, every year we add a new model, so it's always changing, not growing. This is the size we're stuck with, but it does always evolve.
Yeah, okay, and you're gonna let us peek inside the workshop where those new models get made.
Yes.
Okay, I'll let you lead the way. We got Annie walking backwards behind the camera here. Oh my gosh, so just looking up here, there are just dozens of models. What are those models from?
So these models have all been out on the exhibit at one time or another. Since this has been around since 1919, we have models dating back decades that are up here. So sometimes we do switch them out if we need to add something different, but typically this is just where all of the old models come to retire.
And I love all these drawers over here because we've got landscapes over here. So, oh my gosh, are these like tiny bundles of hay?
Yes, and little gardens. We have fences and old wagons and wells. I mean, anything you can think of, it's in there.
Oh my gosh, there's like a little, can I touch this?
Yes, go ahead.
Oh my gosh, this is so exciting. Here's like this tiny little milk cart over here. You could hook it up to a horse. It sort of looks like a scientist riding a merry-go-round.
Yes, it's a merry-go-round.
Okay, we've got a circus main entrance, a cute little fence. Oh my gosh, this is like the most fun thing ever. We got accessories. Oh my goodness, we've got a tiny like oil barrels over here, a lot of road signs. Oh my gosh, is this a tiny little newsstand? Gosh, I could just do this all day long. I don't know if this is interesting content. Let me know at home if you're enjoying watching these tiny things. Oh my gosh, is this a tiny model railroad?
Yes, it is.
A tiny model railroad at the model railroad. Oh my gosh, a little clothesline. How are you not freaking out every day, Nikki?
Well, I've been doing this for 6 years, so it's still exciting to me, but it's not as fresh as it is for you.
Yeah, clearly you're not flipping out right now. Oh my gosh. Okay, I just got to open one more drawer. This is so cool. Animals? Wow. Okay, now some of these are not scale. Like, what's going on?
I assume those are things that were donated over time and we just never got rid of them. So the ones we usually use are just here in this little box.
Oh my gosh, this is like for your Sesame Street Oscar the Grouch sort of crossover. And so you have a history, a sort of background in history, a history in history. And so, but now you've also sort of learned a lot about building and maintaining model railroads.
Yeah, it's not anything I would have expected to do with my career, but it's been very fun learning all of the modeling techniques. As I always say, really anyone can learn how to do this. You just need patience, because I never thought of myself as an artist, but I build models now, so it's pretty fun.
Well, let's talk a little bit about model trees because you've set up a couple things so we can get a quick Well, I guess not a demonstration. We don't have the time for it, but a little overview on how model trees come to be here.
Yes. Okay, so this is our naked tree. This is what it looks like underneath. It's basically just copper wires that are soldered together, and the branches are sort of splayed out like they would be on a real tree. And then this is a final product. So the base of the tree trunk and branches, those are coated in beeswax and a crayon mixture. So you just put some like brown crayons in the beeswax and melt it, and then sort of goop it on top. And then the actual leaves are made from dried wild hydrangea flower. So that grows naturally in southwestern Pennsylvania. We have people that harvest it for us and bring in big boxes full of these dried leaves. And then they're just glued on top to look like a real tree. And
then this just lasts a long time. It doesn't like disintegrate over time.
yeah, I mean, I'm sure we have trees out there that are like 30 years old that are still going strong. So we can paint it. Of course, this is just sort of like a fall tree. This is how it naturally would look, but you can paint them for spring or summer, or like yellow or orange or red for fun fall colors. But yeah, every year we will wash them in like a soapy, warm water. We just dunk them in there and then put them out to dry, and they're good as new.
So you take all the trees from out there and you wash all of them by hand.
Yes.
This is nuts. And then I love over here you have like the spice cabinet of tree toppings. I don't even know. This is like something that looks like paprika, but it's also leaf flake shaker. So these are just, you shake this somewhere to give it some autumn color.
Yeah, so the big thing with the landscaping is you have to give everything dimension. So it's not just like sprinkling some green grass down and calling it a day. There's all sorts of textures you have to add in. Contouring on the hills, so it's shadowed in some places but highlighted in others. And then this is an example of something we would use in the fall to make it look like leaves were falling off the tree.
This is amazing, and there's so many options. We've got scale leaves, or super leaf. Then there's this other kind of super leaf, and then this one, which I don't know, sort of looks like maybe an Italian herb.
That's one of
mixture.
my favorites. That is our Adirondack blend, so I can pull it off and show you. But this is really helpful if you want to make things look super wild. It has like twigs in it, and you just sprinkle it down and it looks like you're in the wilderness.
It's just like instant Frick Park.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
I feel like we could do, you could like do a collab with a cafe here where you have like woodland hot dogs. You open up your hot dog and there's like a woodland scene in there.
In a hot dog.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I'd go for that, but maybe some people would be into it.
I'm just coming up with ideas here. And then, okay, we've got our leaf spice section, but then there's also the like locomotive repair shop over here.
Yes. So this is where all of our sad dead engines come to get repaired, our little engines who couldn't. Most of them are pretty easy repairs, just like a motor has burnt out or it needs to be greased up again, a gear is worn. But we only have one technician who fixes them all, so it gets piled up like this.
That's wild. And I wonder if you could point out maybe some. I'll close my cabinet from before. Sorry about that. Gosh, I come back here, I'm just making a mess. I wonder if we could go out on the floor and you could show us maybe some of your favorites or some of the. I mean, are there some that are like original from 1919 when this dude started it in his house, basically, really, right?
Yeah, so Charlie Bowdish is the one who started it, and we have a couple pictures of him over on the wall that I can show you. I don't know that we have any that go all the way back to 1919, but we do have some originals that he built himself. Those are over here in our little farmland. But over here, this is Charlie working on the exhibit back when it was at the Buell Planetarium. And he was with this up until he died. So from 1919 until I think 1988, he was working on the exhibit. But this is a fan favorite right here. This is based on his childhood home in Brookville, Pennsylvania. But you can see in the window there's someone walking back and forth with a baby. And that is supposed to be his father with him as a baby. And on the front porch is his mother with his older brother.
And these animations are wild. I remember the first time I came here, and at first I was like, oh, I thought I saw something move. And then, sure enough, there's someone swinging on a giant oak tree.
Our smallest animation is in the house to the left that has a cat's tail that swishes back and forth. So that is also one that people really get excited about.
So when you have to fix something, can you like pop the hood off on this thing and get underneath, or how do you do it?
Basically, you have to take these gray panels off, and then you scoot under just like a mechanic on a creeper, and that is how you fix it. You have about 2 feet of space between you and the top of the exhibit.
And underneath there, it just must be a mess of wires and cords and little mechanical things moving around.
Yeah, exactly. We have over 100 animations, so it's lots and lots of little motors and gears and wires all over the place.
Wow. And can you tell me a little bit about what's happening at this control area over here?
Yes. So this is our computer program that we have that's specifically designed for the miniature railroad. It's called Opto 22. And all of the animations and the light cycle switching from day to night, that's tied into the computer. So all you have to do is hit start, and it runs all day long by itself. 24 hours happens in about 8 minutes.
Gosh, and do you have a favorite house or favorite animation or structure?
Oh gosh, that's a hard one.
Or just you can just choose one of your many favorites. I'm sure they're all like your children here.
Yes. Well, I really like Kaufmann's department store.
Oh, and that's like a newer one too. Yes. Oh my gosh, you see what I just did? I snuck in. Now I get to be on the inside of the brass bar. Gosh, this is a thrill. Okay, we're passing the baseball stadium over here.
So Kaufmann's is in the center back there with all of those window displays that are lit up, and the Statue of Liberty is on top. So this is the first version of Kaufmann's that was downtown, and it was there from 1885 to 1912. So nobody living today would remember this version. But we had to make the smaller version because we just don't have enough space for the 16-story one that's there now.
Like you wonder if in the future they'll open up another modern, like model railroad and village that just captures the excitement of like the late 90s and early 2000s, because like people just want to go back to those bygone days.
Yeah, I mean, I always think that over time, assuming that this survives for another 100 years, we will have to up our time period because we only go up to 1940 now. Yeah. But I think probably within the next like 20 years, we'll have to up that a little bit.
And so every year you add another one, and you know, right now in your brain, you know what some of the options will be for what the newest model that'll be introduced in late 2022 is. And wait, because it's around Thanksgiving or so is when you sort of premiere the new model?
Typically, this year will be a little bit different because they're putting in a new exhibit over in Robo World in November, so we won't have our shutdown until winter, spring of 2023. Okay,
that's when we'll see the new models. Yeah. So maybe just, if anyone out there is good at telepathy, maybe you can just think about what some of the new models might be right now. You don't have to say anything, and just see if we can maybe read some of your thoughts.
Okay.
Okay, well, hopefully you picked some of that up. But this is open pretty much all year round, except for that brief moment of time you shut down to put in the new model. So come on down to the Carnegie Science Museum and check it out. There's like so many amazing models to see. And I just love that you can sort of keep getting closer and closer and notice more details.
Yeah, it's great. We have people that come here and walk around 2 or 3 times just because they can't see it all the first time around.
Sweet. Well, thanks so much, Nikki, for having us.
Yeah, it was a pleasure.
There's the train going by.